Hello. So basically, I'm gonna be starting a new series for um like technical or not technical per se, but um practical troubleshooting for Linux desktop because as you know that we have newer people coming into Linux and I want to like help out. And so the topic today is NVIDIA or like NVIDIA drivers in general, or actually just drivers in general. And essentially, most drivers are built in to the kernel, and the kernel is like a core part of Linux. This is like the this is Linux itself. It's basically has a lot of um drivers for all your hardwares like inputs, mics, mouse, etc., monitor, whatever. Um, all right, like hardware, and it also will provide maybe like um graphics for like rudimentary graphics for even NVIDIA system. However, because NVIDIA um is closed source, you can't really add it to the Linux kernel. That is just not possible from a licensing standpoint. And what NVIDIA offers is their own driver. And technically, there's a few ways to do this. There's their own drivers, which are splitted into, I would want to call this like half open source. It's considered open source, but it's not really. And another one being their proprietary. And I think this one is the default for like most system. And essentially Linux has what's called Nouveau, or I think recently it's renamed to Nova something, Nova Core, I think. And essentially this is um rudimentary and not good for performance. But it will show stuff on your screen, and that's why you can see stuff. I think I'm not sure if Windows does this, but that's why you can see stuff where you have this rudimentary driver. But essentially, um, you want this for gaming, video editing, whatever, graphics, acceleration, etc. You want this, and the problem is, uh, you have to install it, and installation of this depends on many things. And so there are a couple of things you have to note that version matters. Version matters. So if your driver is a 10x series, like GTX, whatever, you can use, currently I think the driver is around 580. you can use up to driver 5 something, so currently supported. But after NVIDIA moved to 600, so like after their version goes to 600, they are gonna drop support for this. And you have 16 series and above. So this includes RTX as well. Essentially, this is gonna be supported for a while. Latest version. And for other things you have to see, but usually older stuff is probably like 400s or 300s. I'll leave a link to them if there's like that. I think Arch Linux has a wiki on this, so I'll leave a link on that. But essentially this is rudimentary what you have to know. So for now, you can install this drivers and this driver can install the same thing, and it's fine. And then this is just info on it, but another problem is checking if it works. Things works. So for this, what you want to check is with this command, nvidia-smi. And this command, if it works, it's gonna show version blah blah blah, and it's gonna show in like a table form in the terminal, something like this, and it's gonna show all the process that is running with the GPU. If it doesn't work, it will show can't connect to graphics driver or whatever, but it will be can't connect, something like that. And essentially there are 2 avenues you can go to check why this doesn't work. First avenue is checking secureboot. So for secureboot, generally speaking, most distro will support it, but you might have to do some setup, and I'm not too familiar with all the distros, but I know Mint has a 1-line command to set it up, and other distros probably has one, but it's a bit complicated, so I would recommend disable it. It's technically a bit of a security risk, but just technically, and in practice it doesn't perceive any risk. If you can disable, just do it. And you do this in what's called a UEFI, or it's basically modern day BIOS. And it's gonna be under either boot or security. But essentially, to recap this a bit, the commands you need to know is this one to check if things works, and another thing you need to know is obviously secure boot. And once you close this, try running this command again. If it does not work, what you have to do is there's this thing called initramfs. This is a bit on the technical side, but essentially what you have to know is it starts all the modules and starts some system important stuff. System initial setup, basically. And this is handled by the kernel, so the Linux kernel itself. And one thing of note with this one, with initramfs, is that you need two things. You need Linux header, which you should be able to just install with just apt install, dmf install, whatever your distro using with Linux header appended to it. If that doesn't work, just Google how. But essentially, another thing you need to know is if NVIDIA doesn't work, you have to rebuild this. So to rebuild this, there's essentially 3 scripts, or like it's like a program or scripts. I'm not too sure, but there are 3 ways each distro, 3 main ways, I guess, that each distro differs on this. The first one is I'm gonna add sudo to this, but if you're using an admin account, like a root account already, for the terminal, you don't have to, but generally speaking, you should use user account and then run with sudo. But essentially, there's first way is with this command, update-initramfs, and don't worry about this, I'll add it all in the description and also possibly in pinned comments. But essentially, you have sudo update-initramfs-u, and this -u means to update the currently existing Linux version, the kernel version that you're on. And this works on Debian, Ubuntu, etc. Another one is for Fedora, which is dracut. So dracut-f, F means force. So dracut, I'll add this once again, the command, but this is for Fedora. And oddly enough, it's also for EndeavourOS and things like SUSE. And another one is mkinitcpio. I believe -p with a capital P. So this is for Arch system. And these are the main 3 ways you use to rebuild this initramfs, which the reason you need to rebuild this is every time NVIDIA updates or the kernel updates, it kind of has to be kind of embedded, I guess is the word. I'm not sure what the word is, but it has to be put into this thing in order to boot. So you run these 3 commands and then you reboot. And then go back to this. Try running nvidia-smi again and see if that works now. And I will also link essentially I found that for Fedora in particular, you need some more setups to install NVIDIA on it. So I'll also link resources to that if YouTube doesn't, like, bonk me or whatever. But yeah, that's like basically it. And I'll um take a screenshot of this or picture of this and then also show it at the end of the video. But yeah,